Hey guys, what's up? It's Ripe again. In today's video, a nasty entitled neighbor pretends to be a police officer and constantly steals money from OP. This neighbor ends up confiscating my car and even trying to take away my house for supposedly unpaid taxes. I uncover her entire scam. Here is what happened. Let's dive right into the story. I moved to a new country for work and I was rolling with some things because I figured it was just a norm for this place. It took me a while to figure out that I was being scammed by my neighbor and wanted to tell this cautionary tale for all of you. So I moved to Slovenia for work, and when I got settled into my new house, I was welcomed by one of my neighbors. She showed me her badge and told me that she was a police officer and if I needed anything, to let her know. I was happy at first because I felt like I would be extra safe with a cop right next door to me. It only took a few days though for things to start getting weird between the two of us. She kept coming over and asking for things, which was not the norm in my old country. It ranged from food ingredients to lawn equipment to even straight up money. I figured that in this country living next to a police officer meant you basically had to scratch their back and in exchange they would be able to protect you or maybe even get you out of minor problems. At the time the logic made sense to me and I was just going with it. I drove a sports car and it was one of the things I brought with me that I was really attached to. My neighbor came to me after a couple of weeks of living there and told me she had some bad news for me. She noticed my car when I moved in and knew that it was not legal to drive here. She said she tried to pull some strings for me but could not manage to make it happen. I was in luck though because instead of getting in serious legal trouble and having a record, I could forfeit the car over to her and she could handle getting rid of it for free. I was very upset about this but did not feel like I had a choice in the matter. I did not want to get arrested, so I just let it happen. In hindsight, it was all a dumb move on my part, but I just did not know any better. I was a foreigner and assumed that I was being taught the way things worked by my neighbor. Then the final straw hit a couple of months later and red flags were finally waving around. She told me that she had to seize my house due to unpaid taxes. I had been paying all of my bills on time since I moved in, so I knew that I paid everything I had to. However, when I tried to defend myself, she was not listening and told me that she was on official business. I had to pack my bags and leave the property because I was no longer allowed to live in it. I did not know what to do, but I went into my house just to escape the conversation under the lie that I was packing. I went over to ask her a question about what I had to do with the deed when I saw her badge lying on her porch. I examined it and found that it was just plastic and not a real police badge at all. I was furious that I'd been getting scammed by this woman and called the actual police on her. It was a long phone call telling them about the fake badge and everything she had done and taken from me. I wanted real answers and found a few important things I want to share with all of you. The first one is that my car was totally fine to be driven and she basically stole it from me. I filed a report right away about that in hopes that they could find out what she did with it. Second is, there was nothing wrong with my house either. Everything was up to date and the police and government did not file that it was being seized or anything like that. I was of course very happy about that and glad I was not gonna have to live in a country where I don't even know anybody that I could stay with. Lastly, I learned that pretending to be a cop in Slovenia is a huge deal and people can and do go to prison for it. They were seriously sending real police over to look at the fake badge and have a talk with my neighbor and see what she was really up to. I got no idea what went down when they came over to talk to her, but I can say for sure that it did not end well for her. She was taken away in handcuffs and I was assured fully that she was not in any way a police officer. She was also living in a house that was owned by somebody that did not match her name and it was thought that she scammed somebody to get that house as well. As for my car, I found out what she did with that when she took it. I guess she knew enough about cars or looked into mine to see that it was worth a good amount of money. After she confiscated it, she sold it off to one of her friends illegally. It was illegal because it was not hers to sell and basically stolen as well, as she did not go through all her legal processes you are supposed to when selling a car. Her friend claimed fully that she didn't know it was stolen, but based on other business this friend did, the police did not believe her. My car was in one piece and I was able to get it back. I was relieved that in this whole ordeal I only lost a little bit of money and some lawn equipment. The police warned me in the future to not always believe what people say and that I need to do my own research on this country since I am living here now. Looking back, I know it seems like I made many dumb decisions in the start of my move to this new country. However, I will admit that I was gullible and assumed that the people around me that seemed nice really were trying to help me. I want anybody reading this to know, if you move to another country, don't automatically believe things that people tell you are the norm. Do research both before you leave and once you are there about everything that might be relevant. Both the culture and the laws that the country runs with. If I had known to do that before, I would have found out back when she tried to take my car that she was not a real police officer. I was lucky to make some friends at work who gave me a crash course on this country, and since then I have not really had any problems with people getting away with scamming me. For this con artist neighbor though, a foreigner moving in next door must have looked like a very easy target. In her defense, I was, but she pushed it way too far and it ended up getting her in the end. As of writing this, I believe she is still in jail, where she belongs. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I would agree with OP that before you move to a new country, you definitely have to do your due diligence and inform yourself about any sorts of common scams, maybe learn a little bit of the language just to make it more difficult for scam men/con artists to steal from you. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think about OP, and while you're at it, please don't forget to like the video because that would help me tremendously. The next one is titled Karen at Walmart Line. They decided to open another express line to get the crowds moving a bit. This Karen with an overflowing cart sees this and seizes the opportunity and rushes to get in line. Keep in mind, this line is 20 items or less and she has way more. The employee trying to wrangle the crowd and trying to direct shoppers towards express, regular and self-service tries to get her to the regular line or the self-serve one. She huffed and puffed at him in her Karen way about how she will do as she likes. Not wanting to deal with a fight, he lets it go while shooting a warning gaze to the express cashier about this joy of a human being. When the Karen gets up to the cash and starts literally dumping her stuff all over the belt while loudly mumbling about all the incompetent employees, the cashier gently but firmly tells her that she cannot go through this cash register with her cart full, that this cash is for 20 items or less. An argument from the Karen ensues. She is here now, so why not cash her out? That the cashier has to check her out or she could lose her stupid little job, etc. She went on for about 10 long minutes while the line is building up behind her. The cashier is cool as a cucumber throughout, but does not budge that Karen could not go through this line with that many items, and that she was welcome to join one of the other non-express lines, that the express line is just that, and to let people with a few items go quicker to ease the rest of the lines. Karen continues to argue, now asking in an aggressive manner why they cannot send the rest of the people in line to another cashier, so this one could help Karen with her 100 items, reasoning that it would be quicker. A manager who was watching all this go down does just that and jumps on the next open register and tells the people in line that she can assist them. The manager shoots the cashier a knowing look. Karen is now looking smug and superior at this point, thinking she has won. However, she is wrong. As soon as the manager opens the other register, the cashier tells the Karen, "Sorry, I'm on break, this till is closed. Please feel free to join one of the non-express lines." Karen yells at the manager to make the cashier cash her out. The manager says no. She is clearly on break now and please feel free to join one of the non-express lines. Karen is getting pissed at this point. She quickly shovels her stuff back in her cart and tries to shove to the front in the new express line. The manager is still as cool as ever and says, "This line is for 20 items and less. I'll be unable to assist you. Please feel free to join any non-express line." Karen is absolutely enraged at this point and storms out of the store, leaving her cart behind and screaming about how she will never shop here again, and that she will have both of their jobs. The best part? In her rage, she forgot her purse in the cart and had to come back for it. The manager was only one of two on duty and she was still helping to check out the line. The purse was at the cash register. The manager made Karen wait in line to get her purse. Karen did not say a word. And the next one is titled Karen at a Movie Theater. So, having worked during college at the local movie theater, I came across all kinds of Karens. In this particular case, Karen went to the movies with her two kids around the ages of 4 to 5. As you guys know, movie theaters have high prices for snacks and drinks. It was Sunday morning and usually this is a busy time with a lot of small children and kids movies. It is obvious that I'm dealing with a total Karen straight from the start, keeping on her sunglasses, chewing gum, and being on her phone the entire time she is waiting in line. When it's her turn, I think to myself, OP, your shift just started. Just be nice and maybe this will go all over smoothly. However, it didn't. Karen is annoyed by the prices of the tickets. You can buy the tickets and your snacks at the same register and is not happy with the assortment of healthy snacks. I am still there trying to keep up my best smile like I'm the Joker in a low-budget Batman movie, but I'm getting through her order. And now for the little children. As they were acting like dogs running around the place, I will name them like dogs. So child 1 is Ollie, child 2 is Rex. And note, where I'm from we have a display where you can scoop your own candy in a bag for a fixed price per 100 grams, 3.5 ounces. Being in a movie theater, this is crazy expensive and a full bag can cost around 16 euros, aka $17.5. Ollie said, "Mummy, can we scoop some candy?" Karen, "How much for the candy?" Me, "It's €1.50 per 100 grams. Karen, "Yes, Ollie, hurry up with the candy." Rex, "Mom, I want some candy too." Karen, "Ollie, help your brother get this candy." At this point she already spent way too much time in line. Normally you scoop the candy before you make your purchase to prevent that the transaction takes an extremely long time and we can help other customers. Not for Miss Karen though. She just goes back to texting on her phone. I am baffled, annoyed and just want to go help other customers because the movie is starting in 15 minutes and the lines for the registers are not moving at all. So me, the good Samaritan that I am, try to eyeball the bag of candy Ollie has so that I can get a rough estimate how much the candy will cost. To my enjoyment, I see the kid with an enormous bag of candy almost the size of his head. So I estimate that it will be around 15 euros. Rex, his bag is not that full, but he is still scooping, and I think to myself, realistically the price will be higher, but I just want this to be over and I don't want to overprice them. Me, the total will be 44 euros. Karen, what? Why is it so expensive? Me, Miss, the candy weighs a lot and the price. Karen, but you didn't even weigh it. You're just trying to rip me off. Weigh it and give me the correct price, she says as she grabs the bags from Ollie and Rex. And well, she was correct. I did not weigh it, but I was not trying to rip her off. It's exactly the opposite. Heck, I was giving her a huge discount, so I smiled to her and grabbed the bags of candy and put them on the scale. I can see the price and so can the customer. Me, "Sure miss, as you can see, the price of the candy costs 24 euros, so your total will be 53. And of course Karen gets angry and wants me to call the manager because I am still ripping her off supposedly. The manager then comes along, weighs the candy and confirms that the correct price is 53 euros. Since you have to pay the candy when you grab it because of hygiene rules and there is a big sign, Karen eventually buys everything and walks away angry with her kids. Luckily for me, the manager was a nice dude, so I did not get into trouble for guessing the weight, and at the end of the shift I was glad I could ruin a movie experience for a Karen. And the next one is titled Stupid Neighbor and Trash Cans. So my next door neighbor is one of those people who believes that he is the mayor of the neighborhood. We live on a cul-de-sac with only 7 houses. He'd always berate people whose grass is taller than he feels it should be. He called the cops on me a few times if he could hear music playing outside, not loudly and even during the daytime. The town deputy who came each time finally measured the volume level with a phone app and told him that it was under 50 dB and therefore permissible, and that he wouldn't come out again for the same complaint. The last straw for me was my garbage can, about 4 feet high with 2 wheels and a handle to move it up and down the driveway. It was put out every Wednesday night and the truck came early the next morning to empty it. The neighbor decided he did not like where I placed it. I take mine out at night and started moving it when he brought his own can out in the morning. It's a small thing, but eventually I decided it needed to stop. I took a turd from my cat's litter box and smeared it on the inside of the handle of the garbage can. It faced away from the street with the handle on the street side. If you looked from the yard side, you could see little gobs on the inside of the handle, but from the street side it looked normal. Usually I get up a couple hours after the garbage truck comes by, but that day I was up early and watched from an upstairs window with a cup of coffee. Neighbor wheeled his can down to the end of his driveway, crossed the street and started to move my can. As soon as he wrapped his fingers around the handle, he jerked his hands away, saw the brown goo on his fingers and actually sniffed them. He then went totally ballistic, yelling obscenities I could hear from the inside. Then he viciously booted my can into my yard, knocking out garbage bags, and then started kicking them, which scattered trash all over my lawn. He then went inside and called the cops. The same deputy arrived about 50 minutes later and spent another 50 minutes trying to calm him down. The neighbor pointed to the handles of the garbage can and kept screaming, "He put poop there and I got it on my hands." Eventually, the deputy told the neighbor to stay put and walked across the street to my house. I was already waiting at the front door when he knocked. He addressed me by my first name since he had been called out before and said, "Mr. Jones claims you rubbed feces on your garbage can and he got it on his hands when he attempted to move it from the street." I, of course, had rehearsed my reply and knew better than to deny the obvious. Well, it's my garbage can and I can do whatever I want with it, right? Plus, it was on my property and he had no business touching it. The deputy was struggling to keep a straight face at this point, and I added, he also tossed trash all over my yard and I shouldn't have to pick it up. The deputy nodded and said, yeah, he did admit to doing that. The deputy told me to stay on my porch and walked back across the street to the neighbor, who was already asking what was gonna happen to me. I could not hear what was said, but the deputy eventually escorted him over to my yard and watched as the neighbor picked up the trash and put it all back into the garbage can that he had to stand back upright by grabbing the rim, not the handle. They went back to the neighbor's driveway and the deputy quietly lectured him for a couple of minutes. I never had any issues with him again. And the next one is titled Coupon Fraud Revenge. Background: I'm a cashier / self-checkout supervisor at a warehouse type store that requires a membership to shop. The membership part is important later. And by the way, Ripe Stars, I'm curious what kind of store OP is talking about. The first thing that popped into my mind when I hear membership and USA is probably Costco. But if you have a better idea, please let me know. Anyway, tonight I was scheduled to work the self-checkout lanes. It is pretty quiet in the store and a woman calls me over for help. We will call her Coupon Lady CL. Coupon Lady: hey, the machine is not accepting my coupons. I look over and she is trying to double and even triple some of her coupons. Our store has a strict 1 per item policy for coupons, although the registers sometimes accept doubles due to a bug. This woman was trying to use 3 and even 4 per item though, basically just trying to put through as many as she could before the register caught on. According to the terms and conditions that people sign when creating an account, only 1 coupon can be used per item, and using any more than that is considered coupon fraud. Me? Actually, our company policy is to only use 1 coupon per item. CL: oh, but they let me do it all the time. In other words, she has never been caught. She is a little annoyed but seems to be understanding. Because it is only me and 1 other person in charge of 7 self-checkout registers, I walk away to help another customer, thinking that is the end of it. A few minutes later, I walk by again and notice a few more doubled coupons on the screen added after I left. I also see her try to use some of the coupons that I had specifically set aside and told her could not be used. The register accepts some of them due to the bug that I mentioned earlier, but at this point I have already told her that what she is trying is against the company policy and she is ignoring me. I know she won't listen to me though, so I go over to my supervisor who has no tolerance for people like this. Me? Hey, there are some people at self-checkout that are trying to double and triple coupons and they already ignored me when I tried to confront them about it. Manager: okay, so next time they need help, when a coupon doesn't go through, the machine prompts for a manager to come over and override if necessary. I will go over instead of you and I will take care of it. Within a minute, the light for manager assistant starts blinking. She goes over and what happens next is probably my favorite story from my 1.5 years at this store. She spends almost 10 minutes going through their transactions and voiding every last duplicate coupon. This includes opening the coupon drawer and pulling out every extra until the woman was left with no more than 1 coupon per item. She probably removed over 20 fraudulent coupons by the time she was done. We might have been a little more lenient if she had not ignored me specifically, or if she had not been trying to cram as many coupons through as possible before the computer caught on, but she clearly knew exactly what she was doing. As soon as she left, we printed a duplicate receipt and handed it to the loss prevention manager. The issue with a membership-based store is that every transaction that is made is linked to an account. Her account has now been flagged for coupon fraud, and the next time she comes in, her membership card will not be usable at the self-checkout registers. It will prompt for a manager to come over and immediately void the transaction. She will have to go to a regular register where it will ask the cashier for an override from loss prevention before allowing them to proceed with the transaction. After all, cashiers can keep a much closer eye on possible fraud. I have to say, guys, I'm not exactly sure what to think of this story, even though it is a pretty funny one. If there is such an error or bug in the system, isn't it the responsibility of the store to fix this issue instead? Please let me know what you think about this story in the comments. And Ripe Stars, with this we have reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories, and if you did, I would very much appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and maybe leave a comment as well as like the video if you enjoy my content. Thank you so much in advance, and I will see you again tomorrow.